We're talking to Brad Jones, the Missouri State Director for the National Federation of Independent Business. Hi, Brad. Are you getting rid of your modem? Is it going?
I was just having a flashback.
I know. It took like six minutes for a page to load, and we thought we had something going on.
You watched the first pictures, and it went zoop, zoop,
yep.
Zoop, zoop. And about 20 minutes later, you had a picture of a dog or something on there. It took
your
a
parents
while.
are like, why are you always on the phone? I'm not. I'm online.
I'm not. That's right.
Oh, so funny.
No, we're good. We're good. We got the Small Business Economic Trends Survey in yesterday because I don't give you moldy information. I give you only the new stuff.
I like fresh
stuff. Last month when we talked, things were kind of flat.
Mm-hmm. And
I said, but that was for June, and since then we have passed a big, beautiful bill, and 33 million small businesses out there are not going to have to worry about a 20% increase in their taxes at the end of the year, which is a great relief, I think, for an awful lot of businesses. And it kind of reflects in this month's survey. So it was up 1.7. So it did much better than June. And here's the thing that really gets me on this one. And I think it shows sort of the relief of a lot of the small business people as far as the big uncertainty thing is concerned. The part that says, do you expect better business conditions in the next few months, was up 14. Huge jump. Great big jump. There's 10 factors that make up the survey, and that's one of them, and it's really the one I look at first.
Right.
What do they feel like? The other one is now a good time to expand, and that one was up 5. And so those two kind of buoyed the plus signs for this particular month. And we'll just see, as things go along. I mean, the tariff talks and the talk about the interest rates and all of that kind of stuff is important to small business. So we'll see what happens. The other thing that happened, Fawn, is we talk every month about jobs, and we talk about how many small businesses out there have jobs they can't fill. It was down this time to 33%. Now, the average over the whole since the 70s is like 25. So we're still above, but it did go down 3 points for this month, which is a good sign. It's the other good one too is, businesses have not been spending money on themselves, what we call capital outlays. In other words, if you need a new truck or you need a new pizza oven or you need whatever you need for your business, they haven't been really too excited about buying those kind of big-ticket items when you have sort of the uncertainty that we've got in the economy, when you're not really sure 6 months from now exactly what you're going to have to charge for your products, how the labor market is going to look. So that was up 5. So that is also a positive sign that we've got small business folks out there that are saying, you know what, I've been putting this off, but it does look like things are going to get better here in the next several months. So overall, I would say through the whole index and all 10 of the components that things look a lot better than they did a few months ago for sure. And a little bit better from June since the president signed it. And I understand he signed it right today or yesterday. He signed the bill. So that's kind of where we are with the Small Business Economic Trends Survey. It's a little better.
It is better. So. And, a lot of people, ABC is even mocking every part of it, saying, oh, the sky's falling. They're even trying to associate Trump with the shooter at the Target thing now, saying some of his cabinet members were against the vaccine. They find a way to attribute everything to him. They're just moronic, idiotic, stupid, deranged people. But,
I'll tell you what's kind of interesting, though, about the big, beautiful bill. I've heard every criticism on the planet, but I've heard very, very little criticism about especially the three important small business parts of that bill. One being the 20%, the other being it also expanded expensing. So those big ticket items I talked about, you can expense them right away instead of dribbling them out for 10 or 20 years. That's important. Oh. And also we doubled, I believe, the allowance on the death tax. Now, we should get rid of the death tax. It's the stupidest thing on the planet. But anyway, they did increase the margin on that. So those were the three things. But, I've heard every criticism on the planet about that, but they don't get after the small business part of it.
Right. They don't want to mention it because it's good news. And they don't want to talk about the brokerage of the peace between, I think, Azerbaijan and I can't remember the other one. But, the president of Tunisia has nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize because he keeps stopping wars between Pakistan and India. He's doing all these great things. But anyway, it's just the media drives me nuts. But, they drive me nuts. I do not consider myself part of the media. So when it comes to small businesses, I see them very happy. They don't like that the minimum wage keeps going up because that's hurting them. But knowing that this tax isn't going to kick them in the groin helps it a little bit to look at maybe growing some and staying open.
The one Debbie Downer part of this, and we've only talked about this now for how long you and I have been talking for ever since.
Yeah.
But the problem we still have out there though is the quality of labor force. And last month, just like every month for the last couple of years, it's not like the small business folks are not trying to hire people. They are. They had almost. It stays around almost half of them, 55 to 60% of them tried to hire, and 85 to 90% of them couldn't find the person that they needed, and that is still that's still a problem, and it doesn't seem to be one that has a real good solution, and it's worse, if you're in special kinds of small businesses. If you're a contractor, you need somebody to do drywall. You need an electrician. You need a plumber. You need somebody that's got some real skills. Those positions are even more difficult. And in transportation has been a real problem. With finding drivers and CDLs and that sort of thing has still been an issue. So in certain areas, the finding quality folks to come work for you has been even more difficult. And we know what happens. You've got to pay more. And when you pay more, you have to charge more, and that leads to the inflation issues. So that little part of it is still a little bit sketchy. We haven't got that worked out yet.
Yeah, and I bite my tongue a little bit on this because I have people in my family who have had 10 jobs already this year because they can't show up on time. And so there's something generationally defunct about responsibility here. And I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but it's happened.
Well, COVID didn't help.
Yeah, that's true.
I think a lot of people enjoyed staying home and stayed home. I think you and I have even talked about, okay, where'd the jobs go?
Yeah, there's still jobs.
It seemed like they kind of evaporated there for a while, and we couldn't find people to come to work. And and you're right. And then you raise minimum wage to $15, and you actually have people out there that are trying to make a $15 job, and you look at your restaurants and stuff and say, that kiosk is a better idea all the time. It's always on time. It doesn't need overtime. It does its job, and I just think you're going to see more of it, and it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate because I think it's really going to hurt our young people. I think those first career jobs that you have are so important to learning a lot of those life skills. And I think some employers are going to say, look, we're just going to we're going to automate a lot of this stuff. So you're going to be going to some of your restaurants and walk in there, and there's just going to be very, very few people that are actually going to be working those restaurants. I hate to say that, but it just looks like it's kind of moving in that direction.
Yeah, and that's sad, but, people like to go out to eat, and they tip well. So, a lot of the people who do work at these restaurants are not paid minimum wage. They strictly live off the tips. So,
right.
We've got like a double-edged sword with working at a restaurant. People are like, how much do you pay? And they're like, $8 an hour. They're like, well, I'm not working for that. They're like, you don't realize that when people tip, you're probably going to be making $25 an hour.
Right. Well, it just depends what kind of restaurant. I mean, your fast food places, you don't get that. So, they're not, you don't tip at McDonald's normally or any of your other
But they
fast
also
food
pay
places.
minimum wage, yeah.
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
Well, small businesses, even the McDonald's and those sorts of places, they're franchise owned, so they are small businesses. They're owned locally, and the people need to make money to stay in business to keep the jobs afloat, and people need to keep that in mind.
They do. Absolutely. They absolutely do. And it's, it's one of those things too, when you look at inflation and you look at this last survey, and one of the things that moved down the list, which is good, is their concern about inflation. But again, the workforce moved to number one again. Those two or three things have kind of bounced back and forth as far as critical issues for small business people. And for a while it was taxes, and you can understand why when you're looking down the barrel of a gun at 20% increase in your taxes for the year, why that would be a bigger concern. But according to this one, they did ease off on increasing compensation for this month. So by doing that, that is kind of one of those drivers of inflation that we look at. Our small business people having to pay lots more and more often for new employees. And so, as I said, the economy is such a big and complicated thing. There's so many parts to it, but that is a part. And that part has to do with whether or not you're going to need to charge more for your labor, and you're going to need to charge more for your product.
Right. I've got 20 seconds left. Where do people go to learn more about all of this, Mr. Brad?
Go to NFIB.com.
Go there now. Brad Jones is your state director for the Missouri NFIB. I'll talk to you next month.
Love you, Fawn. Thanks.
You too. Bye.